What is up, you guys? Jury here, and welcome back to a new video. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to Linus trying Linux again. So this is going to be a part 2 video. Now, before I start, there are a couple of things that I do want to say. The first thing is that I watched this video. I already watched this video. I watched it twice and I wrote down some notes, especially at the beginning of the video. And the second thing is that there are some parts that I might skip. So for the rest of this video, I might cut some parts where I think it's unnecessary, or I might skip certain parts of the video. So yeah, just for you guys to keep in mind. And honestly, with that being said, let's get started.
Copilot, you need to opt out. Windows update. You will own nothing and be happy.
And I can already tell we are on a good start.
He does have a valid concern, though, with Microsoft adding more and more bloat that negatively impacts the user experience.
I mean, there's nothing much I can say other than Microsoft is getting worse and Windows 11 is getting worse. The fact that they're adding features that people never even asked for, and the fact that they can't even solve these issues that people are having, not only is that insane, but they're just literally advertising Linux at this point. They're just saying, guys, we generally don't give a damn and we are not solving these issues. Switch to Linux if that bothers you. Like the fact that they're just advertising Linux is insane.
And user privacy on Windows. More people than ever are asking themselves, what can I do? Well, there's those Windows debloating scripts, but...
Well, the problem with Windows 11 debloat scripts is that there is going to be that one huge update in Windows that will eventually break these scripts, and you have to manually apply the same debloating scripts again and again. So it is a little bit inconvenient, in my opinion. So it's like, short term it does work, but long term it's a little bit inconvenient, in my opinion.
Those aren't quite the silver bullet that they're made out to be, and there is Mac, but that's not a great solution for gamers. That is where Linux comes in. As the rest of the world enshittifies, thanks to the incredible open source community and corporate sponsors like Valve, Linux just keeps getting better. And I think it's high time that I try once again to make the switch.
We'll get into this part later. Not the Linux tech tips bottle, but the distribution you chose. We'll get into that later.
And he's joining me. Hey, Elijah, wake up, let's go.
What? But tons of games I play don't work on Linux.
Sure, but there's thousands of titles that do work.
And we'll get into this part later when it comes to anti-cheat games. But the truth is, yes, most kernel-level anti-cheat games don't work on Linux. So if you play popular games like Fortnite, PUBG, Valorant, don't switch to Linux. Just stick to Windows.
And besides, it's only a month. That is, unless you discover that you love it so much you don't even want to play Fortnite anymore. Maybe the only 90s you'll want to crank are these 90-degree segues to our sponsor.
Okay, I'm going to skip that part or this part.
The first and possibly biggest hurdle when it comes to embracing that open source life is the overwhelming number of options. Now, for some...
Yeah, when it comes to Linux fragmentation, it is understandable that since there's so many options, like there are more than 600 Linux distributions, I would say more than 600, it can feel overwhelming, like, okay, which distribution should I pick, especially if you are new to Linux. But the truth is, it's really not that hard, in my opinion. What a lot of beginners can do, and this is something that I think even beginners, like even experts, used to do, is just go to the internet, go to a forum and ask, hey, which distribution should I pick? I do this and this on a daily basis. I want a distribution that's easy to use, or maybe you could say I want a distribution where I have a bit of flexibility. And once people start responding to your question, you will have a lot of options. Now, if that part still overwhelms you, like, oh my god, there's so many distributions, which one should I pick? Then pick your first Linux distro that interests you. And if you still don't like it, guess what? It's not the end of the world. You can always use another distribution. And if you don't like that distribution, then you can always try another one and another one, to the point where when you try out all of these distributions, you will get a feeling of, okay, this distribution fits my needs and I like it more because of XYZ reasons. So yes, in a way I recommend distro hopping, but only to find or to explore like different distributions until you find that one distro that suits your needs. So that's how I would do it if I was new to Linux, especially if you're like someone like Linus and you just don't know which distribution to use. So
Folks, the idea of having so many choices, each catering to a specific user or use case, is amazing, and it is, especially if you love to tinker. But for everyone else, choice paralysis is a real thing, and with literally dozens of viable options for Linux distros, not to mention the social pressure that comes from picking the wrong one.
for this part, honestly, I don't care which distribution you use as long as you're happy with it. There are genuine people out there who do say, oh, I don't like the distribution you're using because of XYZ reasons. I want you to use my distribution because it's just better. But really, you don't have to listen to those people. If they do not like the distribution you're using, then that's not your like issue. That's more of a personal issue at the end. So yeah, but for me personally, I don't care if you use Buzzite, I don't care if you use PeakOS, I generally don't care. As long as you are happy with that distribution, then that's okay. I generally don't care.
It can be a major turnoff. Last time we
And on top of that, you should not listen to those people, by the way, who, you know, force people to use a distribution that you don't like.
did this over 4 years ago, I called out how terrible these listicle sites are.
And they are still terrible because they are not only outdated, but most of them contain ads. Like, let's be honest. So they're just terrible. That's why people like Christ Tech Tips don't recommend them. Even I don't recommend them. Like I said, if you want to have advice on which distribution you should try, just ask Reddit, go to forums and ask which distribution should I try. So yeah.
And so did many others in the Linux community. And right out of the gate, I would
These are just terrible options. I don't expect much from this article.
Let's have a look and see if they've improved. Oh,
I doubt, but
XDA's
let's
article
try.
is from less than a month ago, though. And of
find
course, the very first one is one I haven't even heard of. Nobara Linux, built on Fedora.
Well, Nobara is a Linux distribution based on Fedora, and it is made by Glorious Eggroll. So yeah.
Fedora, quality of life tweaks, controller support out of the box, Pop OS, Fedora's on here, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, Catchy OS. This I've heard of, Endeavor OS, Ubuntu. Good Lord, you've hardly narrowed it down, bud. Fedora KDE. Straight up, that's it. No pros and cons of anything else, just go for it, unless you're...
This is one of the reasons why I do not recommend people go to listicle websites, because they might list these these are good distributions, but the problem is, if you're new to Linux, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, you don't know what all of these terms mean, it can already feel overwhelming, and that's why I don't recommend these listicle websites. Not to mention, most of them do contain ads, so yeah.
Of course, Googling the answer is basically boomer behavior now. If I wanted to do my thing and I want to role play as a typical tech-interested gamer who's looking to make the switch, I gotta fire up ChatGPT and see what OpenAI has to say on the subject.
Giving it an essay there?
When it comes to models like ChatGPT, I do think they are a great tool, especially for this particular situation. But at the same time, these models do give out outdated information, so it's always important to double check information to see if, let's say, the distribution it listed, if it even exists, and if it's ideal for gaming. But yeah, But I still think AI is a great tool. Sometimes I do use it if I want to troubleshoot. Yeah.
Well, I'm giving it as much information as I feel it needs to give me a good recommendation. I want to make the switch to Linux. I have a variety of PCs, each with different needs, and ideally I could find a distro that works for all of them. Recommendation number 1, Pop! OS, Ubuntu LT.
Pop! OS is a fairly good distribution, so yeah. But as you can see, it says Ubuntu LTS with game mode. So this is something I've never heard of, as in if this kind of distribution even exists. I do know Ubuntu LTS obviously, but with game mode, I don't know if that distribution even exists. Yeah.
Yes, with game mode. Maybe not the greatest recommendation if it doesn't know what hardware I'm using.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there. Cons. You have to manually install drivers sometimes. Manjaro comes up again. Fedora starts giving me a whole how-to for some of the systems. Tips for smooth multi-machine use. Use a single desktop environment and the same one across different machines. Bottom line, Pop! OS.
Again, we'll get into that later.
I don't know if I'm sure about that. Kind of got burned by them last time.
My approach was to go to Reddit, and I wanted to find someone that fit a similar profile as me, and I just basically searched for what got the most updates. But when I narrowed it down to gaming distros, there was really only a handful that were commonly recommended to me these days. Manjaro, Chimera OS, CachyOS, Bazite, and Pop! !_OS.
I don't know if I should say this, but I don't think I would recommend Manjaro simply because they're going through some stuff right now. Especially if you're new to Linux, I would not pick Manjaro. But who am I to say? There might be some comments already saying I still recommend Manjaro, which it's okay, but I still don't think I would recommend it. Especially with the stuff that they're going through right now, I don't think so.
If your preferred flavor wasn't on that list, I promise it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that I didn't come across many recommendations for it. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of those 5.
Chimera OS is cool, but seems to prioritize being more of a console-like experience.
Believe it or not, this distribution, in fact, SteamOS heavily took a lot of, inspirations from this distribution, which if you think about it is kind of insane. It's insane.
Really what I'm going for. And the same goes for SteamOS. I mean, it's still the one that I think is most likely to usher in the year of the Linux desktop, and Valve has promised to continue chipping away at the desktop experience, but it's still very much big picture first. Not to mention that the limited hardware support is going to be a challenge for, 90% of desktop users, including my downstairs PC, which I'm also migrating this time to ensure that my immersion is complete.
For Manjaro and CachyOS, both based on Arch by the way, Manjaro's been around for several years at this point, meaning there's tons of documentation online, or other independent YouTubers have made videos and guides. It would make hopefully getting things working nice and easy. CachyOS is relatively new, but
which is the one that I use, by the way.
Because it's new, it kind of has the same thing. Tons of people are covering it and making guides online about using it. Both of those could be a bonus for helping me get through this month.
Like I mentioned before, Pop! OS screwed me over pretty good last time. Though,
yeah, I would say that you can't blame Linus, although in the terminal, it did kind of give a warning saying, hey, this is going to nuke your distribution, but he didn't fully read the terminal. You can't blame Linus. It was mostly Pop! OS or the devs kind of realizing that, hey, there's a bug in it, and yeah. So
from my understanding, that was an insane bug that was present for less than 24 hours, and I just happened to run up against. In general, it's known to provide a very friendly experience for new users, and it uses Ubuntu as a base, which can make it a little easier to find guides and other resources.
Last but not least, there's Bazite, which is explicitly gaming first and has gained serious momentum over its short 3-year history thanks to the baked-in support for HDR and variable refresh rate.
Which is why Bazite is one of the most recommended distributions, because it comes with everything out of the box. Plus, it's a immutable distribution, meaning you don't have to touch the terminal and mess the configurations and stuff. Only the devs behind it can do that. So yeah, it's a really good distribution. I've tried it before. It's really good. there's nothing much I can say about Buzzite.
To me, that kind of ruins the spirit of the challenge. I mean, it's not like the average person would be able to contact Linus Torvalds for help recompiling the kernel, you know?
With all of that in mind, I'm going with Bazite.
That's a really good choice. I have nothing much to say here.
Specifically the KDE desktop environment. 1, it's the cool new kid on the block. 2, Bazite's documentation seemed slightly easier to parse through, which
I think Buzzite has excellent documentation in my opinion, so still a really good choice.
for me is a huge W. And 3, while it might be a little bit more limiting than CachyOS, which several people warned me about, those same people did tell me that it was a little bit easier for a first timer. I think I'm gonna take that trade-off. Now, some of you may remember from my AMD upgrade 2 years ago, I actually installed PopOS at the end. Spoiler alert, I haven't been using it. I had an issue with my Go XLR, and I spent way too long trying to figure it out that I ended up defaulting back to Windows 11.
Okay, so I don't have a Go XLR, so I cannot say if that device works on Linux, but I am sure that there is a tool or like an unofficial open source tool for that. But again, I don't have that, so I can't say much about this specific part.
It's also worth mentioning that I'm only going to be swapping over my gaming PC to Linux, not my streaming PC. I can't afford to have any issues with that, and right now, it just works. And besides, all I hit is go live anyways. But who knows, if this goes well, maybe I'll be considering swapping that one over.
I, on the other hand, will be converting all of my PCs, which means that I need something that's compatible with both GeForce and Radeon GPUs. I will be converting all of my PCs to... Yeah, that's where the script ends. I have to actually decide now.
Yep.
I'm going with PopOS. Just
Okay, so let's talk about this part very briefly. I think PopOS is a good choice. Some people have mixed feelings about PopOS, but the reason why they have mixed feelings isn't the distribution itself. Like, the distribution you chose isn't the problem. The problem is that, from my understanding, PopOS has a Cosmic distribution and it's in beta release, which is not in a good state right now. So throughout the video, as you'll see, he went through some friction when using Cosmic. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. But yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think Linus should have chosen a different distribution, or he could have chosen a different distribution other than PopOS. Because if we take a look at the previous video, he had a terrible experience with PopOS, but again, it wasn't his fault. That there was like a bug in the distribution, and the fact that he's choosing PopOS again, especially with Cosmic in its beta release, yeah, you can already tell what's gonna happen.
blew up on me once doesn't mean it'll blow up on me again. I'm gonna follow ChatGPT's recommendation here. I'm gonna start with one machine, get everything going the way that I want it, and then assuming that that goes well, I'm gonna stick with PopOS. Okay, so who nailed this? ChatGPT got the way I was already leaning. PopOS was the first recommendation from InterServer, whatever this is. NVIDIA drivers handled cleanly. Okay, PopOS. Drive me, daddy.
What, you guys started without me?
Yeah, there's a reason why I paused very briefly. I knew Luke was coming. Honestly, there's nothing much I have to say about Luke. He's a wholesome guy. He knows what he's doing. Yeah.
My side of this challenge probably won't be quite as bad as Linus's, since I've been using Arch on my laptop for a while now, by the way, and I've gotten pretty comfortable with it. That being said, my use case on my laptop is fairly limited.
There's nothing much I have to say. He knows what he's doing. He's just a awesome guy when it comes to Linux. Like, people don't have issues when they see Luke installing a distribution. He just knows what he's doing.
So this is an expansion forward. I'm in, and I'm going with CachyOS. The whole reason why I've been running Arch on my laptop was to try to demystify and defang the scary experience of Linux for some people, because I wanted to show, like, look, I'm gonna put very little effort into this, to be completely honest, and I expect it's mostly gonna go okay. But
Which is true.
the reason for that was because my experience was limited mostly to a browser. So I kind of want to continue the Arch experiments, but in a way that the community is mostly flagging right now as better for gaming, which is going the Cachy direction. I still love Linux Mint, still use it in a couple spots here or there, just because I find it so, like, easy to get set up and going. But I know
But I still think Linux Mint is still a very good distribution. Of course, when it comes to, let's say, newer features, driver updates and stuff, yeah, it can be a little bit behind when it comes to distros like, or compared to distributions like CachyOS or EndeavourOS or any other distribution. But Linux Mint is still a good distribution.
Well, there were some comments under last challenge about my choice of Linux Mint. I'm like, oh, it's not as updated as other things, or blah, 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 because the Linux community loves to just scream about stuff all the time.
Yeah, we always love to scream and yap. At least something sometimes, which is true.
I wouldn't dissuade you from choosing it. I'm just kind of doing an experiment thing with Arch and enjoying it right now. So I'm going to continue on to CachyOS, and hopefully it goes fine.
Drive ready to go. But I ran into a problem. My motherboard has an M.2 slot here, an M.2 slot here, here, and here. But I didn't build my system. I don't know where my current drive is installed.
Yeah, this part is quite understandable because if you mount your NVMe here, I think it's probably the best place. But if you mount it here, or if you mount it at these locations, it's probably not convenient because you might have a beefy graphics card and it might cover both of these sides. So yeah, it's quite understandable. I would rather mount it here.
For no reason other than that I'm a sucker for punishment, I've decided to do my upgrade to Pop! OS here at Whale Land.
Okay, so this is the part where I'm like, really? You're gonna do it on a LAN? Okay. Yeah, some people have mixed feelings about this one. All I'm gonna say is I generally don't think it's a good idea to install a Linux distribution or even any operating system on a LAN, especially if you have people waiting for you. Maybe you have a stress day. Yeah, but there's nothing much I can say about this part.
I just got to unplug my boot drive. I treated myself to an Optane drive a little while back. I just got to disable Secure Boot, and then hopefully this is going to be completely painless and I'll be gaming in like 15 minutes.
Oh boy.
And we're off to a great start. Select your drive.
Now this part, honestly, I don't know what's going on. Maybe the drive, like the NVMe drive, isn't seated in correctly. Again, this is the part where it says I'm cursed. I don't know what the heck is going on. Yeah.
Can't see it. Well, I put it in a known good slot. Turns out the drive is bad. Why are these challenges always cursed?
Downside of a multi-monitor setup, this is my primary monitor, so we're trying to boot into the BIOS right now. So we're gonna go into Fedora. Verifying shim sbait date failed. Something has gone seriously wrong. I've done nothing. Okay, I think I saw something related to Secure Boot.
Now, when it comes to Secure Boot, it's not mandatory. I would say it's more of an option because there are some Linux users who do believe that Secure Boot is a waste of time and it's really not needed, even on distributions that support it. But there are some people who still need Secure Boot just to have a little bit of security. All I'm gonna say is when it comes to installing Bazzite, in fact, I did some research on this and it turns out that Bazzite is probably the only distribution that has a kind of a weird installation phase where, when it comes to Secure Boot, I do find it weird that Bazzite does this because I don't think any distribution would do this. In fact, when it comes to Fedora, all you need to do is make sure you have Secure Boot enabled if you want one, and when you install Fedora, and you make sure you chose your appropriate boot mode, whether it's legacy BIOS or UEFI, after the installation, everything should just work fine, right? So there's no need for you to be like, okay, after the installation, I'm going to enroll this key which he is going to use later in this video to make sure Secure Boot works. I've never seen that in Fedora. The fact that this part exists for Bazzite, the fact that you have to enroll the keys before or after to get Secure Boot working, to me it's kind of weird. Again, Bazzite seems to be the only distribution that does this.
Is enabled. I'm gonna try disabling it. This OS version workstation, it's past its end of life date. What? I downloaded it fresh from Bazzite's website today. That's a scary warning. So I did take this drive from the office. I wonder if that's why it's showing up as LTT. Maybe I did happen to grab a drive from work.
Yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention is that he was supposed to choose this boot option, something that a lot of people aren't talking about, because this is the one that contains the setup installation for Bazite. So maybe this one is probably a different USB drive that he has. I don't know, but regardless of whether secure boot was enabled or disabled, he was supposed to choose this one regardless.
Work that had Fedora. I won't mark that against Bazite then. That was 100% on me. Okay, we're booting up again. Hey, there we go. Okay, Bazite. Yes, we want to go into live ISO just so I can do the install. Hey, there you go, little Bazite logo. Oh, this monitor lit up. Hey, there we go.
I've been super interested in trying Hyperland, but I think I'm going to keep that for maybe something on my laptop or something that I'm more happy to just play with. Try to.
Now, when it comes to Hyperland, if I'm going to be very honest, it is a desktop environment that requires a lot of time, a lot of configuration, and a lot of patience. That's why I haven't made that video yet. My plan was to make that video eventually and to show my experience, but it requires a lot of work, and because of that, I don't think beginners should try Hyperland immediately. I think they should try well-known desktop environments. So yeah,
keep pretty much everything the same as what I'm used to except for CachyOS and just see how it goes. You know what? Calling an audible. Let's give it a shot. Limine, or how I...
Now for this part, Limane or Limine, I don't know how to pronounce this. That bootloader, from my understanding, only is designed for people who dual boot Windows and Linux, which I think is a really good thing. Or if you like dual boot different Linux distributions, I think that's also possible. And then we have Grub, which is a good bootloader. I only had one terrible experience with it, which is why I decided never to use Grub again. Maybe I might use it in the future. And then we have Systemd Boot, which is the one I use on my CachyOS system. Refined, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sure that's how you pronounce it. I don't know what those bootloaders are, like their main purpose. So if anyone knows, let me know down in the comments.
First read it with my broken brain is Limeline. Sounds cool, looks cool. Gonna go with Grub. I'm just used to it. Hey, we're in. Everything seems okay so far. I wonder how many times Linus has bricked his install.
All right, now that I have a working drive.
Yeah, Linus, like I said in the beginning, is going to go through some friction, not because of Pop OS itself, although people have mixed feelings about it, but it's the desktop environment. I don't know if I said this previously, but the thing when it comes to desktop environments is that those matter more than the distribution itself, because a desktop environment is the server that you interact with, right? So you use it to interact with applications. So if you pick a well-known distribution, but you pick a desktop environment that is buggy or that's behind also like receiving updates, then you will have a very terrible experience. So in his case, the fact that he chose a desktop environment that is in its beta release and it's still getting some updates, it hasn't been fully stable, is what's causing him to have some of the friction he's having.
This is great. Prompted to set up encryption right out of the gate.
For this part, he went through, I would say, a good process when it comes to installing it, because installing Linux, really, you shouldn't run into issues. But later you will see he went through some issues.
I love to see it. Pretty painless setup so far. Don't need this. This looks fine. Ooh. We're in. Now I gotta play a game.
Oh, hey, there you go. Is a secure boot key added? Okay, well, let's do a reboot. I assume I just leave it on Fedora. What the frackle is this?
So this is a part where he kind of misunderstood, but he did said it clearly after installing Bazite. So for my understanding here is that you have to enroll this a MOK key so that you can use secure boot. So all you had to do was to enroll this key, type universal blue or something like that, and then you should be able to boot Bazzite with secure boot enabled.
Yes. Do I have to do the secure boot thing? Let's try this again. Error.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't do it.
You need to load the kernel first. Okay, maybe I should read the documentation. That's
Yeah.
the error I was getting, so we're gonna use method B. Disable secure boot in the BIOS before proceeding and then re-enable it after enrolling the key. I have to enter a command in the host terminal? Oh, did I mess this up? You know what? I'm gonna try reinstalling it with secure boot enabled this time. And, oh, maybe, I don't wanna do that. That takes, it takes so long.
I don't think reinstalling it would be necessary. All you had to do was to enroll the keys, and then he would have a fully working distribution. So
Okay, well,
again,
let's try
not his fault.
reinstalling Bazzite from the beginning with secure boot on this time, and we'll see if something's different. All right, I've reinstalled it. Documentation says to reboot, enroll the keys.
Yeah, enroll the
yes, it's just universal blue. I think I enabled it. Hey, there you go. I feel like I just went in a circle, but we'll let it cook. Hey, we're in. Okay, it did detect all three. I kind of have a weird one that's off to the side here.
Oh, okay, that's quite interesting. I'm curious to see how he did that.
So I can like monitor chat when I do other stuff. Oh, okay. Not right now, Steam. That's kind of cool. Got Steam pre-installed. That'll be nice. Maybe I'll get a game up and running like real quick.
All right, here comes the point where we
Okay, so in fact, let's continue watching the video.
tripped up last time. Well, that was painless. I'm almost there, but before I can game with this man, I'm gonna need voice chat. So we're getting Discord going. I already got Left 4 Dead 2 installed. Already there's some slightly icky things. I have Discord working, which is super cool. Really? All right, I'm ready to launch the game. What is this? What is this? The Linux curse might be coming for me. Wait, it magically healed itself. Magically healed itself. Well, this is messed up. I've got my Discord volume at 200%. I've got Luke's individual user volume at 170%. And I've got my system volume at 150%.
Okay, so the issue he's having here is the fact that he's not receiving any sound or any output sound. And as you can see here, he's using the wrong output device, so he had to choose the right output device, and then he would hear some sound coming from his headphones. So this is a fairly, like, I guess, a mistake people make. They think the sound is not working, but really the distribution just chose the wrong output device, so you just need to, switch to the correct one.
And I can barely hear anybody. No, it's not you guys, it's me. I'm just experiencing Linux things. But hey, it could be worse. I could be that guy at a LAN who's not running his game in full screen. Sup, Rob? All right, just rebooted and no game volume whatsoever. What about like a YouTube video? Okay, that's loud. That's loud. That's a good sign.
That's probably because maybe YouTube or the Linux distribution, which is PopOS, maybe it automatically said, oh no, the output should come from this device. So that's how it works.
That is so bizarre. Okay, let's see if Discord is solved. If Discord's solved, we're good. And then Discord maybe just magically healed itself. What's up, gamers? Oh, we're good.
So
So
did
I was
your audio
right.
just require a restart?
It's complicated. My system was set to like spit if out, so obviously that was why I was getting no audio in game, but that doesn't explain why I was getting extremely low audio in Discord.
Yeah, that's strange. It's that problem of like, why isn't this working? And then why is this working? It's like,
Yeah, I'd rather have why isn't it working than why is it working.
Oh, whoa. Why did that change it? Do you see that? Since I have a dual PC set up in my server rack, this is my streaming PC that records. I was actually getting ready to record and it's not quite scaled correct. Like you can see I'm missing like half my taskbar. That was not a scaling thing. This monitor is not 4K, so I'm a little confused on why it's showing 4K.
Yeah, this part here is kind of weird. Usually when you have buy a monitor, or if you have a monitor that supports 1080p resolution, or even 21:60, which is 4K, then it should show the appropriate resolution. But the fact that it's showing him a resolution that's beyond the capabilities of that monitor is fairly weird. So
Okay, as an option. I do
Yeah.
normally set to 120 hertz though. Oh, it made everything. Oh, whoa! Why did that change it? Whoa! Do you see that? It's scaled properly, but you know what scaled it properly is adjusting the frame rate. If I go to 140 on my OBS capture, it's not scaled right. But if I change it to 120 and apply it, now it's scaled appropriately. Like my scaling is the same, my resolution's the same. Now that I've got these displays.
again, this is an issue I've never had before. There's nothing much I can say about that.
Displays configured. Steam looked like it was already installing, so let's double
But what matters is that the scaling is, well, appropriate.
check that. Dude, are we gonna get a game going like that? I know it's not compatible. I'm still gonna download it because I want to try it. I won't blame any Bazite or Linux for it not working, but it's one of my go-to games right now. I need to test if
Yeah, that game is not going to work. That game has a kernel-level anti-cheat, and if I remember correctly, the devs literally said, we will block Linux. If you try to play the game, we will show a pop-up window saying we are very hostile to Linux, so please don't even bother with that game. But yeah, so I did say earlier that I would get into this part about kernel-level anti-cheat games. So I have two reasons as to why anti-cheat games or kernel-level anti-cheat games are a problem. The first obvious reason is that since Linux still has a low market share, a lot of like gaming companies simply aren't interested to provide support because they can't make a lot of money if a platform has a very low user base, right? Which is a reason that makes a lot of sense. But the second reason is that there are some gaming companies, in fact a lot of gaming companies, just believe that since Linux is open source, it might be very susceptible to hacking and stuff, which simply isn't true. And because of that, they just have this fear that if they allow support, they're gonna be rampant hacks and exploits, which again just makes no sense. A lot of the cheaters and hackers do come from Windows, so it doesn't make any sense to say Linux has a cheating vector when we are a very small user base, and a lot of that comes from Windows as a platform. So those are two reasons, but yeah.
PUBG is gonna work. Do I need to enable the Proton compatibility later? Hey, it's enabled right
Even if you do enable it, it's still not gonna work.
away. Oh yeah, look, it like installed it right here. I guess while that's installing, maybe I can get some other apps going here. Discord. Hey, there it is. Oh, Discord is high risk. This app uses legacy x11.
Now this part right here, I think, is going to scare a lot of beginners. So I don't like, for experienced users, for experts, this is like not a problem. But for someone who's new, if they install a false application and they see this is gonna scare any beginner out there. Like, okay, no, I'm not going to install it, right? So I kind of find like the wording they use here a little bit it has a bit of fear in it, so I would maybe change the meaning. But yeah.
Windowing system, which allows it to record all keystrokes, captures. It also has access to the internet, meaning it could send your data to outside parties. Ooh, this is very timely. Well, I need Discord, so I'm installing it. That warning, as scary as it probably seems to a lot of people, I think it is kind of a cool thing that they're letting you know that it might be risky. So if you're a non-experienced user going to download something, it could give you a heads up like, whoa, 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 just so you're aware. For Discord, we already know they're stealing all our data anyways. I don't know. Whoa, you can download Edge? Holy cow, you gotta be a psychopath. High risk. Let's go through audio while everything's installing really quick. It's showing up is huge. I hear the mic is going directly to the Rodecaster, and the Rodecaster should just pass out. Hey, it's being detected. Wow, that was really fast. Really?
So here's one thing I noticed when it comes to Luke and this guy, I forgot his name, I'm sorry. Notice they are going through a good experience when it comes to installing their distributions, setting it up, and making sure that Discord and all of their games are working fine, right? Except for the anti-cheat game. For Linus, on the other hand, as you will see, that's not the case for him.
I'm gonna call my wife really quick. Hello, hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
I didn't have to configure anything. That's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, but hey, the fact that I didn't have to troubleshoot it makes me very happy.
Just installed it, instantly installed OBS. I had to restart my Rodecaster, but then it worked immediately. We'll see if the audio is fine. Seems like the audio was fine. Off to bigger and better things. So I'm gonna get Teams installed here because I need to do a work call. Well, the Teams call went fine, sort of. The Teams is still a very annoying experience on Linux, regardless of what Linux flavor you go with. There's no official app. I was using the Teams for Linux open source community thing. It's like fine. There's some kludginess here and there. It seems like most of the community agrees that the best way to do it these days is to just run it through the browser entirely.
Yeah, which is what I would do. I don't use Teams, but in a situation I'll probably run it on a browser. Yeah.
Which I really don't prefer, but I'm going to keep fighting with Teams for Linux and see if I can get it working in a state that I would like. I would
Which is still okay and understandable.
say with the like install it real quick, sign in, and it works perfectly. No, not quite, but at least they're doing it. Not like Microsoft supporting it, so I appreciate the effort. Another thing that I would say is that gaming has been perfectly fine so far. Huzzah! Slay the Spire is working no problem. Gaming so far going okay. No major hiccups with anything as of right now, but I'll let you know if things change.
Well, Control-Alt-Delete doesn't do anything.
That's a Windows option or feature, sorry. That's both. But yeah, that's not gonna work.
Alt-Tab allows me to switch to things, but my mouse is not there. Like I'm hearing like like in my ears. This is so awesome. I managed.
Now, from my understanding, this game has kind of a weird issue going on. So this is not Linux fault. It's not even Windows fault. It's more of the game engine itself. So that explains why he's going through this kind of weird issue with the game. So again, just to mention.
To play a game for 20 seconds. I must just be cursed. I have to be cursed.
No, you're not cursed. It's the game engine itself. The fact that he's running the game natively on Linux. But if he was running it through Proton, like Wine and Proton, he would never have this issue.
At this point. Okay, I managed to find this. I'm gonna try to end the process. Half-Life 2, I think. Is this, hello? Delete? Is that not gonna work? That's not gonna do anything? Yeah, I have 7 people waiting for me because I'm a special Linux snowflake right now.
Which is why I said it was probably not a good idea to install Linux distribution at a LAN. Because of this reason, you have people waiting for you and they're getting impatient. Again, I don't think it was a good idea to do this at a LAN.
I don't understand why trying to do the most basicest of things, launch a Valve game on a fresh install, manages to be like this. I'm even on AMD, guys. I'm on AMD.
That's not the issue. The issue is the game engine itself. If he ran it through Wine or Proton, that would have solved his entire experience with the game.
I'm going back to Windows for now because this is it's not acceptable. I have to be able to play the game right now.
Okay, the last thing now, I think I'm just gonna game. Ooh, it's got a borked rating. As of 2 weeks ago, someone said it's borked. So, yikes. I won't blame any Bazite or Linux for it not working.
No, you can't blame Linux. You can't blame the devs behind Bazite. The only thing you can blame, or the only thing to be blamed here is the gaming company itself not allowing support. So
judging by how long it's taking, that's not a good sign. A month without PUBG. Okay, well, let's launch Balatro. Hey, there we go.
All right, we finished the round. It's the next day, and I'm gonna see if I can figure out what the heck was going on there. Off to a great start. All right, I'm just playing single player now. Let's see how this goes. All right.
Now, guys, notice what happens.
This is how far I made it last time.
Now you are playing with power.
And that's a native support, by the way, of the game.
Try running it in Vulkan. Unfortunately, there's no in-game setting for it, but apparently this will do the trick.
Like you gotta break through this wall.
And there it is, that was the fix. Not complicated, but definitely frustrating when you consider that this is a first-party Valve title and the bugginess is so immediately apparent when you try to play the game. And has also apparently been an issue since at least July of last year. To be clear, none of this is meant to discount the experiences that other people have. It's just to also acknowledge that not everybody has such a seamless experience.
That is true.
With Left 4 Dead solved, our next challenge is going to be Helldivers 2. We're going to be playing with the VIPs. I've never played before, so I'm finding so much weird stuff, dude. It like turned into two black windows that then turned into this. Oh, whoa, check this.
Again, I don't know if it's supposed to do that. This is what happens when you run a desktop environment, like a new desktop environment that's still in its beta release. I think I heard that if you use Steam, you might get multiple windows appearing, so that could be a bug itself. Again.
So, why am I cursed like this? Opening cinematic played okay, and this looks promising other than the weird white line that I have at the left and top for some reason. Is the mouse supposed to do anything?
It's supposed to do something.
Hold on, here's an idea. Okay, so look up, we can rebind that. Let's go left click.
I don't know if that's a good idea though.
Okay. Hey, controller works. I guess I'm gaming on a controller, boys.
So I'm going to install Dolphin. Oh, wait. Dolphin's the name of their, the file manager, right?
Yeah, Dolphin is the file manager for KD Plasma, and we have the Dolphin emulator, so it may be a bit confusing, but yeah, that is a little bit understandable for someone who's new.
Hey, oh, speaking of files, I should try to mount my network share. So network, shared folders, SMB. Oh, dude, is it gonna find it for me? Whoa, it found it for me. Hell yeah. Add, can I pin them to the side? Oh, I can. Oh, that's kind of nice. That was really easy to mount.
You can do this for other Google accounts if you have one, so
My
yeah,
network
that's
share.
quite understandable.
And these are SMB, set as default app. Hey, there you go. Hey, I set VLC as a default app. I'm feeling pretty decent right now. I have my audio working. I have a game running. I have my SMB share mounted. The most painful roadblock was by far like getting it to this point. A quick recap on what happened with the secure boot thing was
So yeah, let's see what he has to say.
I turned secure boot off because I thought that's what it needed when the Fedora drive that I accidentally grabbed from work was asking for it. Then
So yeah, which is the mistake he made. But at the same time, there was no need to enable secure boot, but again, it's not mandatory, it's optional. So
And when I installed Bazite, it was, hey, turn secure boot on. I don't have it on, I have your key. But after I installed it, I think I might have gotten a little bit confused or chose the wrong thing when it asks me to enroll it. I needed to make sure that secure boot was on first. And now that it was on when I installed it, it was pretty painless. I do think it's a little weird that they still wanted me to type universal blue when I was enabling the keys. I'm not really sure why. I do wonder how much it'll help me in the future if there's a software or a game that requires secure boot. I wonder if Linus...
I doubt most games on Linux would work with even with secure boot enabled, simply because most Windows games, like the new is it Call of Duty or Battlefield? I think it's Call of Duty. I can't remember. But that game that I'm talking about not only requires secure boot, but it requires TPM 2.0, and it requires a feature called VBS. I forgot, but it requires this other feature just to make sure that cheating is as low as possible. So even if you do have Linux and you have secure boot enabled, that's not gonna do much for a multiplayer game, because the game is still, or like the anti-cheat is still going to block Linux anyways. So yeah.
is gonna have as smooth of a time, or if his is gonna be a little bit worse.
Well, this is remarkable.
Yeah, this is what I said this is what I said earlier. The fact that Luke and this other guy are going through a seamless experience while Linus is going through some friction is kind of unfortunate, which is why I said from the beginning, um, I think he could have gone with a distribution and he would have said, oh, you know what? I had a fairly good experience. I had less friction. But the fact that he chose Pop OS with Cosmic in its beta release, yeah, it kind of it's not frustrating, but it's like it's going through the same roller coaster as before. It's kind of insane.
Well, I'm up to 3 Steam windows now. Nope, can't type. After I figured out the control issues, we did manage to get through the entire Helldivers mission with no further complications. So while I wouldn't call today a success, it also wasn't a complete failure, and I think I'm ready to do a little bit more Googling, learn a bit more, figure out what the heck is going on with my Steam interface here. Now, it is worth noting that while I am obviously showing a lot of the problems I'm having today, I'm not trying to make Linux look bad or anything, and there were aspects of the
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if I go into the comments and see some people saying, no, you're making it look bad, but I don't think he was making it look bad. It's just the fact that he chose Pop OS again and, going through some friction just made the experience less pleasant.
experience that were much better. For instance, setting up Pop OS involved none of my data being given away. And maybe
Which
more
is true.
importantly, if you don't like futzing about with things, is I had to do nothing to get all of my various devices working. No going to the manufacturer's website, downloading drivers, none of that nonsense. The convenience
Which
of the
is also
Cosmic
true.
Store and it being something I might actually want to use, unlike the Windows Store, pretty nice. And so far,
Yeah.
I've got to give it credit for being pretty darn intuitive, other than maybe the pressing the power button to reach my settings. That has like Windows 95, you press start to shut down kind of energy. With all that said, I'm excited about the next month, and I hope you guys are excited to come along with us, and excited to hear about our sponsor.
So yeah, with that being said, I think that is pretty much it. So as you saw from the entire video, this time it wasn't as bad compared to the 5 or 6 year video they made. I would say Linus went through some friction, but the experience was somewhat okay. Again, I think he should have gone with a different distribution. I know I said this multiple times, but I think people I think a lot of Linux users would probably be more happy if you chose a different distribution like Bazite or CashOS. But look, what can I say about him? He went through a seamless experience, no issues. The other guy went through some secure boot problem, which was not necessary, but still solved it. But yeah, with that being said, I think that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions on how I should improve reacting to videos, because this is my second reaction. And yeah, with that being said, it's your boy Dualry. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.